What's the most expensive bike Harley sells? Well, it's a tie between the CVO Street Glide and CVO Road Glide, CVO standing for Harley's top-of-the-line custom vehicle operations. And these bikes each cost $44,500 US and 54,500 Canadian dollars. Actually, Canadians are getting a deal here, relatively speaking, because at current exchange rates, 44,500 USD equals just shy of 60,000 Canadian. So we Canadians can justify the purchase of one of these by telling our significant other that we're getting a $5,500 discount. Try it and see if it'll work. But of course, the $44,000 or $54,000 question, more like 64 here in Canada after dealer fees and taxes, is it worth 18,500 USD and 22,500 Canadian more than the base model road and street glides? Well, having just ridden both the base and CVO street glides, I'm here to tell you about the differences between them and let you know whether the CVO is that much better. So for all the details, please stay tuned, and if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. Now for the full review of the base street glide, check out the video in the top right corner. But what do you get with the CVO that you don't get on the standard model? First and most importantly, an upgraded engine. This bike has the 121 cubic inch 1977 VVT variable valve timing motor that varies valve lift at different RPM for optimal power and efficiency. It produces 115 horsepower and a massive 139 pound-feet of torque, 10 horsepower and 9 pound-feet up on the 117 engine on the regular street glide. And yes, the bump-in power is noticeable. Both the 117 and 121 have rider modes and lean-sensitive ABS and traction control, which I didn't notice working except in rain mode. I rode them back to back, and the VVT engine does feel stronger, the torque curve feels flatter, and it's also a bit less vibey. The difference is not huge, but it's noticeable. I didn't test this out scientifically, but it seemed to me that I also went further on the 6-gallon or 22.7-liter tank with the CVO, a little over 400 kilometers. As for the sound and character, the sound is a bit muted as all stock pipes have to be. And the character is typical Harley, although during acceleration I did feel something extra going on down there, a smoothness of power delivery that I'm not used to with Harleys. Like the standard street glide, the speed limiter kicks in at 172 km per hour or 106 miles per hour when the tach shows a bit less than 4,000 RPM. It's too bad. I'd like to see where it would get if allowed to rev out. My only other criticism is that it's a bit too civilized. The 117 is also pretty civilized, but retains a bit more personality, maybe through a bit of extra vibration, which is never bothersome, or a bigger difference in the torque produced at various RPM, which makes the bike feel like it's surging a bit more. Still, the engine performance never left me wanting more. There's plenty of power available everywhere. Another upgrade over the standard model is the suspension, which features an inverted fork and adjustable dual shocks. Here I can't be as complimentary because at these prices, the CVOs at least, if not the base models, should be running electronically adjustable suspension, pretty much an industry norm with other brands by now. Most premium big bikes offer it, including Harley's own Pan America, so it's not like Harley doesn't have the tech. Harley needs to put it on the CVOs and let it trickle down to the base models later. As for cornering performance, of course I took the bike into the twisties for some action, and found a slight weave or wobble when leaned over on the side of the tire. It never escalated and I didn't feel like it made me need to slow down, but it's not something I noticed on the standard model with its lower end telescopic fork. I was only on these roads a few hours and didn't have time to diagnose the problem or play with the shock damping settings, which require the removal of the saddlebags to adjust. The preload is remotely adjustable, but was already dialed up high, so I left it where it was. Perhaps some previous tester had messed with the shocks and the problem would be easy to fix given some time, but this is exactly the sort of thing that electronically adjustable suspension would prevent. Low speed handling is good, but the CVO Street Glide weighs 838 pounds wet to the standard Street Glide's 811 and feels a bit less sprightly in general. Other tidbits of the bike that were above and beyond the base model were the sweet looking spoked wheels and the powerful radio mounted brakes which hold this motorcycle down double quick. The high-flow exhaust had some nice accents on it, and the Rockford stereo sounds great, but above 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour, the wind noise drowns it out. The CVO Street Glide comes with standard 3-way adjustable heated grips. The first setting is warm, the second will singe your hands, the third is there in case you need to barbecue something and don't have a grill handy. That's there for the winter if you're wearing snowmobile gloves. The seat on the CVO is firmer than the one on the base model and has some attractive badging on it. At first I liked it less as my sit bones were driving into it, but eventually I got pretty comfortable on it even on a 700 plus kilometer day. I guess it broke my butt in. Additionally, the CVO has upgraded floorboards, passenger pegs, a heel toe shifter, and lots of CVO 25th anniversary accents and badging. Finally, the CVO models get upgraded paint, and Harley's paint is the best in the business. I tested the copperhead color, but would personally prefer the two-tone legendary orange. So the verdict on the CVO Street Glide is mixed. The fit and finish is unparalleled with everything coming together beautifully. This bike in legendary orange is hands down the best looking bagger on the market. It's tasteful and not overly gaudy like some past CVOs have been. The chrome is well chosen and not overdone, and the engine is blacked out for a modern aesthetic. The motor is powerful everywhere and feels like a Harley motor should, with a relaxed character and ability to lope along when cruising, yet rip when asked. It has the pulsing feel of an American V-twin, and the sound and presence is there and can be amplified with louder pipes. And the stereo is very high quality with serious bass which thumps you in the chest when you turn it up. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows with Harley's most expensive bikes. You know I'm going to complain about the lack of an electrically adjustable windshield, which has become an industry standard on premium baggers these days. Yet these super pricey Harleys don't have one. On a Goldwing with the windshield up, you can listen to the stereo on the highway despite the stereo not being as nice as the Rockford one on the CVO Street Glide. You can't hear anything on this bike at highway speeds. Another industry standard is electronically adjustable suspension. Harley's own Pan America has it, so we know Harley-Davidson can make the tech work. Wouldn't it be cool to have adaptive ride height, a Harley Pan America innovation on the CVOs? The bike would ride slam down on the boulevard and automatically lift up when the speed increases. I'm not insisting that my bike has it, but I'm reviewing this bike for bagger riders, and Indian, BMW, and Honda all have electronically adjustable suspension on their premium baggers. I don't need it, but have to admit that adjusting suspension with the push of a button is pretty convenient. Finally, there were just a few small things that I noticed because this is really supposed to be the top of the line bagger. Although they were powerful and progressive, the brakes squeaked, both front and back. Now I get that this is a press bike with 12,000 kilometers on it, and journalists are not gentle on press bikes, but still, they squeaked. The tray that pops out of the fairing, the one with the phone charger in it, was sticking. Eventually I figured out the trick to make it open every time, but not before I got my phone stuck in it and couldn't get it out for 10 minutes. Small inconvenience, but annoying. And as on the standard bike, closing the vent below the windshield at speed leads to increased helmet buffeting. Personally, I'd opt for the standard Street Glide as you get most of the same bike for a lot less money, but I'm not the guy this bike is aimed at. I couldn't justify spending this much money when for over $20,000 less I can just buy a Street Glide. But there are people out there for whom $20,000 is nothing and who just want the best engine, stereo, paint, and wheels. This is the bike for the guy who prioritizes the beauty of a motorcycle over features. If you want to buy the price is no object luxury Harley, this and the CVO Road Glide are your choices. For the regular guys though, thankfully the standard bikes have come down in price from last year's specials while getting better. More of that from Harley would be nice, thank you very much. So if price is no object, if someone just came up to you and offered to buy you any bagger you want, but you can't sell it, you have to ride it, which would you take? I'd have real trouble deciding, but I'd like to hear from you. Please share your thoughts and picks in the comments below, ride safe, and check out these other bagger videos which may interest you as well. And may the spokes be with you.